So, we're going to go over the important parts. First up, these are the champion mods for next... Okay, that's Twitter. The champion mods for next season if you haven't seen them yet. We got anti-barrier autos, which is good. Only problem, range. So you might see a few Ariana vows. Unstoppable fusions, can't pass judgment until we see fusion buff, which they talk about that being a thing at the end of the TWAB. So we'll see how that is, and then we could talk about it. Overload bow is great. Unstoppable pulse rifle is great. No one's going to use unstoppable sidearm because unstoppable pulse rifle is there. So, traction mod first and foremost is gone. You could basically change your sensitivity settings in different environments, such as when you're sprinting, when you're ADSing, and just overall. You could just change your sensitivity freely in settings. Surprised they didn't comment on DMG's hint, or, wow, I can't read. They didn't comment on DMG's hint at mods for swords. I didn't even see that. Was that on Twitter? Because I didn't see that. Hold on, I'll go find it. I did not see that. But I do remember seeing someone talking about swords. Oh, you got a link. Dope. Oh, I see. Interesting. I don't know. I doubt swords would be intrinsically overload, but I don't know what else that would mean if it's not one of the seasonal mods. Interesting. Hi, Patramain. Hope you're well, bud. But yeah, that's interesting. I don't know what's gonna happen with swords then. But anyways, back to the TWAB. So you got your traction change. Traction's gone. You can change sensitivity in different environments as much as you want. Super regening exotics. These are big. Overall, the super regen for each of them is capped at 50%. You cannot get more than 50% of your super back when using them. That's big, especially for Ursa's and Phoenix, because those were abused in GMs. But Shards of Galanor, increased amount of super gain for hits, and it's capped at 50. Good buff for them. Ursa's, straight up capped at 50. A nerf, but it's still going to be super strong. Actually, I'm going to get this off the screen for this. Next up, Skull of Dire Ahamkara. Increase the amount of super refunded per kill. It's capped at 50%. Hopefully that's enough to put it back on the table as a good exotic, because let me tell you, it's really fun. Phoenix Protocol is capped at 50. That's it. A nerf, but it's still going to be super good. Storm Dancer's Brace now also refunds up to 50% of your super after it ends based on number of kills, which is really good because previously that exotic was just Rampage before your super. Now it's both Rampage before your super and you get it back in, you get your super back from getting kills with it. Good riddance to topping off in Crucible. Yeah, I'm super happy that they're changing that. It's still going to be good in PvE because they're not changing the duration of the super being active. So you won't be able to super as often, but Geomags are still going to be super strong because it's going to last. The beams still last the same amount of time. But yeah, Geomags remove the sprint to top off your super, and that's it. So it'll still be strong in PvE, you just won't have it as often. In terms of PvP, you're not going to see 7 Chaos Reaches in one match. Now for a bit more specifics, starting with Hunters. First up we have Bombardiers. Before it was just you dodge, release a bomb, and went kaboom. That was it. But now if you're an Arc subclass, it also blinds. If you're Solar, it applies a burn. If you're Stasis, it applies a slow. And if you're Void, it suppresses. Doesn't pull Guardians out of their super though. If it did, that would be so strong. I kind of wish it did, just for the memes, but understandable. Graviton Forfeit. Invis lasts longer. Melee regen is increased based on the number of enemies around you. And while you're invis, recovery is increased and weapons reload faster. Nothing crazy, just more buffs to it. Lucky Pants. This Lucky Pants, I don't know how this is going to go. I'm really curious. So it basically has intrinsic hand cannon holster, which is a mod that we'll go over later because that's later in the TWAB. But when you have a fully loaded hand cannon that deals kinetic or something that matches your energy type, subclass energy type, Each hit against a combatant from that hand cannon increases the damage of the next shot. So I want to know how much extra damage that is. Because it's like giving the mini Hawkmoon perk to all hand cannons. I don't know how strong that is, but I really want to know. Really curious. Titans have the least amount of changes. Precious Scar actually might be viable now. It creates a burst of healing and bonus recovery around you whenever you kill an enemy with a weapon whose damage type matches your subclass type. This depends on what the cooldown of that is. Because if there's no cooldown, you could just constantly be healing you and everyone around you, which would be so strong. But if it's like a lengthy cooldown, then it might not be worth using at all. We'll see. That's all dependent upon the cooldown. Ice Elemental, remove the slower class ability recharge scaler. Nothing crazy. Warlock, Verity's Brow. Change to trigger when you get a weapon kill that matches your subclass energy type. Before, it was only energy weapons. So now it has to match your subclass type. But it also increases grenade damage bonus to 20% per stack, up from 10%. Which is, at max stacks, that's 100% extra grenade damage, which is a lot. That's not too shabby. That's not a bad increase. That's pretty good. Then we got the Stag, which it gives you damage resistance while in a rift. 25% against PvE, 50% against PvP. Which isn't crazy. It's not like a big buff. You probably won't see it that much in PvE still, in at least high-end content. But in the Crucible, 15% damage reduction just for staying in a rift is kind of good. Like, you might be able to use Empowering Rifts more often if you're using that, instead of having to rely on Healing Rift. Extra damage and damage reduction. You might see more Empowering Rifts if people are running the Stag with this. But next up is Promethean Spur, which I forgot what it did, if I'm honest. I literally never used it. Previously, kills with Dawnblade dropped a healing and an empowering rift where you got that kill. But now, while you're standing in a rift, solar weapon kills give you class ability energy back, and when your class ability energy is full, solar weapon kills consume that energy and spawn the combination of healing and empowering rift at the target's location. So, pretty good buff. Nothing crazy. Probably won't see it that much in like super endgame stuff, but still, pretty good buff. Now for mods. Ammo finders. They're more effective if you're killing enemies with primaries, especially exotic primaries. I like to see more incentive to use exotic primaries, although that's not too much of an incentive, it's still better than nothing. Scabs. Scab mods. Can't have multiple of the same kind. They don't stack. And holsters is basically auto-loading for the weapon type. Except it's not instantaneous. It sounds like it builds over time. So the weapon being stowed will gradually be reloaded over time. So it's like mini auto-loading, but in your pants. You know? The long-awaited Warmine cell nerf. Oh yeah, it's actually just like Reconstruction. Actually, yeah, it's probably exactly like Reconstruction. You're not wrong, yeah, that's probably exactly it. Warmine cell nerfs. This has been long overdue. They have less range, 10 to 6 meters. Less damage, 200 to 400 is now 50 to 250. Global reach now costs more to equip. Reduce the amount of radius from 20 to 10 meters. Cellular suppression lasts 2 seconds instead of 3 seconds. Wrath of Rasputin. Used to be 100 to 200 extra damage, now it's 25 to 100. Just overall, less damage, less range. These are long overdue. So, you'd love to see it. Elemental Wells, 2 mods got buffs. Elemental Armaments, which was the getting kills with a weapon that matched your subclass energy type. It has a greater chance now to spawn a well based on the tier of enemy you kill. And Font of Might, which is picking up a well, increase the damage of energy weapons that match your subclass energy type. Now does 25% extra damage and lasts 10 seconds, as opposed to, I think it was like 5 seconds before, and as you can see, 10% damage before. So, good buff. And that's all the changes for stuff coming to next season. Gear-wise, we still have another TWAB. Next week, that is all the weapon changes. But Iron Banner, 2 new weapons. Looks like a pulse and an adorable sidearm that I want so badly. Look at that thing. It's so cute. I want that sidearm in my life. Also, we finally get new gear. New Iron Banner gear. You'll love to see it. The Iron Forerunner set. Looks dope, kind of. I like it a lot, but I can see how some people might not. Personally, big fan. I like the horns, especially. One other thing with Iron Banner, if you are wearing any of the Iron Forerunner gear, wait, hold on, let me make sure I'm reading this right. We'll be introducing the Iron Lord's Pride intrinsic perk through this set. So yes, if you're using any Iron Forerunner gear, you have a chance to get an enhancement prism at the end of an Iron Banner match. The more of the set you wear, the better the chance, which is really good incentive to do more Iron Banner. Because it's not an enhancement core, it's an enhancement prism. It's not Ascendant shards, but they're still rarer than cores, which is some good incentive. You got some more Amazon Prime rewards, if you want that. I think that's pretty much it, right? Some other known issues, make sure you get your previous season rewards, yada yada. That's pretty much it. Nothing else crazy. Movies of the week. Art of the week. And then down here, DMG mentions how next week there's going to be a TWAB to talk about weapon changes. Especially fusion rifle buffs. Next season will be Season of the VOOP. You heard it here first. I'm very excited about it. Love to see it. Good TWAB overall, IMO.